any player would love to be a part of the World Cup, but for me personally, it's just one of those things. It's like I can't think about it too much. Like, let's be real. I just gotta continue to get better tomorrow, the next day. Obviously, yeah, it'd be a dream. And I was happy. I mean, I was happy. I think a lot of other guys were surprised. I know I had a lot of people that were, disappointed that Portland let him go because they recognized how great of a player he was. And I think he was one of those players that like almost fell under the radar for how elite he was.
Hello, and welcome back to the All Out Soccer Podcast. Myself, Jeremy, my co-host Joe. We're two football fans talking about soccer. We're previewing FC Cincinnati this week as we look ahead to the start of the 2026 MLS campaign. We had the privilege of being joined by their defender, Miles Robinson, also a projected starter for the U.S. men's national team this summer at the World Cup. Our chat with Miles starts around the 10-minute mark. That timestamp will be listed in the description below. We're going to recap the end of last season, obviously a 4-0 playoff defeat at the hands of Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, and before we look ahead to the 2026 campaign, and you're going to hear from the man himself. But first, we're going to recap the campaign. Joe, obviously didn't end as they wanted for FC Cincinnati, one of the best teams in MLS over the last half decade, but they continue just to remain towards the top of the Eastern Conference standings.
Yeah, I mean, they were 1 point behind the eventual Supporters' Shield winners in Philadelphia Unions and narrowly missed out on the top spot in the Eastern Conference. In terms of MLS, obviously they got into the playoffs. They edged a 3-game playoff against the Columbus Crew before, unfortunately, getting completely turned over by Inter Miami, a 4-0 scoreline in the end. It was a tough defeat, but it was still a really, really positive season. I know, to give you credit, you were really, really hot on Cincinnati for the entirety of last season. So fair enough, it was a lot better than my Atlanta shout. But they performed well. And then just look at the other competitions. They were eliminated in the league's phase of the League's Cup, didn't make it out of the group stages there. And the CONCACAF Champions Cup, they were eliminated in the round of 16 phase, again by a Mexican team in Tigres, 4-2 on aggregate that was. But it was a really strong campaign. Of course, the major headlines being the additions of Kevin Denke and Evander. They invested heavily into forward players, and Evander got 18 MLS goals. He led the team. Denke with 15. So both of those players are going to be looking to have even better campaigns next season, a year under their belt in Cincinnati. And I've been really, really impressed with the consistency of Cincinnati over the last few years. Of course, 2023 was that incredible Supporters' Shield winning campaign with Luciano Acosta being named MVP. They finished third in 2024, second last year. So, for as much as there are usually teams around the top of the conference and the league, obviously Inter Miami more recently times, Los Angeles FC being another, the fact that they've stayed within that top 3 for the last 3 years, the consistency in MLS, we don't always see that. It's really, really positive stuff. And the fact that they haven't made a ton of additions, they don't really need to be honest. They're just waiting for players to get back fit. Didn't go to plan last season, but I think really, really encouraging for 2026.
Yeah, really, really encouraging. I mean, I do like Cincinnati. Before I look ahead to this start of this campaign, I just want to say Evander last season, we're talking to the XG gods. He was really in their good graces. The XG gods really wanted Evander to leave Portland and join Cincinnati. 18 goals from 8 XG. A lot of those are these long-range, individualistic solo runs, especially late in games, that allowed Cincinnati to win a lot of one-goal games. And this is not me knocking their quality of play, knocking their style. It was a little bit of over-reliance and not maybe sustainable long term. It's just, it can win you a match, but it can't always propel you. It did propel them all season. It did help that a very, very strong, competent center forward playing next to him. But I think they might need a little more of a diversified attack to maintain that standard this year.
Yeah, I mean, of course there has to be change. I know we both said that there hasn't been a ton of change, which can be a good thing, and usually is because they've got a great team as it is. But I know they're not champions, but the best teams still strengthen when they're playing well. That's a key part of being sustainable, having extra, options depth-wise. But yeah, looking ahead to next season, I really don't I see them being up there again. They don't seem to be a team that's going to fall away. Really exciting to watch. They did win a lot of games 1-0, but that's what good teams do. Defense wins championships, as we know. And, we spoke to a very good one today as this recording it would come out. But I think the feeling is good in Cincinnati. I mean, the vibes seem high. You were hot on them from last season, and I don't see you changing your opinion next year, right?
No, let's lay out the change, and we'll see where we are now. So they were playing a back 3/back 5, depending on how you look at it. One of their defenders, Lucas Engel, on the left, their left wing back, more of a defender, and then Echenike on the right, who came forward mid-season wearing number 66. Just a rogue number to wear on a soccer pitch, in my opinion. At right wing back, that one has been made permanent. No Matt Miazga to start the season. Obviously, Miazga is missing for the playoffs, so that meant our boy Miles Robinson was captaining the side. He's part of a back three with Nick Hagland, Teenage, Hadebi, which is one of the best names I've ever seen in my entire life, and Miles Robinson, obviously in front of Celentano, who's been there now for some time. Who do they sign? They brought in Brian Ramirez, a right winger from Ecuador, and Ayoub Jaibari, a young Mexican forward from Grenoble in Ligue 2. That's in France. Samuel Gidi joined mid-season, a Slovakian center midfielder. He immediately slotted into the team. Echenike joined mid-season. He immediately slotted into the team at right back. Brenner joined mid-season, but he's obviously Cincinnati heritage player. He joined mid-season. He's gone. Luca Orellano's gone. Kai Kamara, who was in here for a little bit, who's about 98 years old, he was there. Yuya Kubo was here for obviously the last few years. Much better campaign in 2024 than 25. He's gone. More subtractions than additions, excuse me. I think they're a little lighter on depth than they've been in years past. And it is a bit, I hate to say, over-reliance on Denke and Evander. But with how the center back stepped up last season, Hagelin, Hadebe, Robinson, and then obviously you have Miazga coming back, I think this is going to be one of the best defensive lines in the MLS. Obviously, you have Pavel Bucha sitting right in front of there. I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat. They have one of the best home crowds. They have one of the best coaches of the MLS in Pat Noonan, who's now been there for quite some time. I think he's a long-term contender, certainly for the U.S. men's national team job after the 2026 World Cup, when Pochettino, let's be real, is probably going to leave or be fired, which is okay. Miles Robinson spoke very highly of Pochettino after this. But I think this is a side with a high floor, and then the ceiling just depends on if these goal scorers can repeat their season of last year. I think Denke's going to be even better, but I don't know if Evander's going to be able to do it one more time.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. Obviously, there's still time to bring in a bit more depth. I'm sure they'll be looking at things they can do. But if they can make sure that defense is, one of the best in the league, and if Denke and Evander can continue their heroics and that link up, and a few obviously goals from elsewhere will help. But if you don't concede goals, you don't need to score many to win games, and they proved that last season. So yeah, optimism's high, I think.
They're starting their campaign off. It's such an interesting way. They're in the CONCACAF Champions Cup yet again. They start their first round matchup against a side from the Dominican Republic. We spoke to a very lovely staffer from Cincinnati who said it's his first time since he's been working for the team, or he can remember the team going to the DR for a game. So this team's obviously training right now in Florida. Ahead of the season, they're going to go to Cincinnati. They're going to go match day -1 next week to the DR. Which is a little less time than usually customary there for a CONCACAF away day. And then they come back from sunshiny DR, first leg of a 2-legged knockout, come back to Cincinnati, where it's, probably about 10 to 15 degrees. And they play Atlanta, side really down in the dumps last season, but they have Tata Martino, who's now back in the fold, obviously helped Atlanta win a championship a few years ago when Robinson was on the team, and Miles Robinson was on the team, a young player coming up. And Robinson told us he still has juice. He still gets that juice every time he plays his old side, even though kind of the faces and names have changed. So it's a really just hectic start to the season. Then you got the Leagues Cup coming up, and then he has the World Cup right after that. And obviously, there's not a ton of internationals on this roster, particularly World Cup internationals. So Robinson might be one of the only players really to go. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they navigate on multiple fronts. Last question for you, Joe. What is a successful year look like for this side?
Definitely playoffs. I think they'll want to have a deep run in at least one of the competitions. Which one they, prefer, time will tell. Of course, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, I think they have a qualification that you said. Definitely playoffs. I think because of how they perform, they should be aiming for that top 3 spot. Of course, Miami are going to be stronger again, potentially. Philadelphia, we have our concerns about, but I think a successful season will be competing for that top spot in the East and a deep run in one of the competitions. I think they're capable of that for sure.
Yeah, so they were lost in the quarterfinals last year, the Eastern Conference semifinals of the MLS Cup playoffs. I think they need to. I mean, this is one of the best teams in the East. There's no business a team like New York City is going further than them in the postseason. Obviously, the Union have regressed a lot this summer, but there's some strong teams in the East, good depth. I think conference finals, are we saying, is a good year? I mean, if you lose to Miami again, you can't lose by that much of a margin. That certainly can't be the case. I do think they're obviously they're starting their Champions Cup run a little early. I do think an appearance in a finals in one of them, it's time for this team, again, with the amazing support they have, to either be in an MLS Cup final, Leagues Cup final, CONCACAF Cup final. It is a year if they need to have. Winning one, different conversation. Being present in one after last year, after not doing it, I think that's my expectation, is at least one finals appearance.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but yeah, finals. I think, Eastern Conference finals, I think, is where they deserve to be for sure. In the other competitions with the travel and everything going on, and even the break in between, we'll see. But I'm excited to see how they get on. Yeah,
and I just think some attacking depth never hurt anyone. Just get one more forward. Obviously, they brought in the young player Jabari, but one more MLS veteran, and not Kai Kamara, someone under the age of 40, ideally.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a month to go for signings to be made. So,
and then there's the summer. It's gonna be interesting with the World Cup and how that impacts signings. All right, but we're gonna pass it along to our chat with Miles Robinson. Super, super nice guy. We hope he makes the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, in 2022, debilitating ACL injury that kept him out of the team in Qatar, where he was heavily in contention to start. He's in contention to start this year. Really, really nice guy, and we hope you enjoy our conversation. We were just talking about this before. Such an interesting start to the season. You guys have obviously a 2-legged qualifier away in the DR before you come back to freezing Cincinnati to start the season off. Just very quickly, is it hectic right now? Is it crazy? Just with this time of year.
I mean, I think preseason in general is a little crazy, a little hectic, just with a lot of moving parts. But for us, actually, we've been, pretty focused. We've been, training hard, a lot of double sessions, a lot of, good work being put in. And I think at this point, a lot of the guys are just raring to go, really, just excited to get the season started.
What was your reaction when you found out your first game of the season was in the Dominican Republic?
I was like, now we're talking, like finally somewhere nice. But I don't think we're near any like water or anything like that. But I think we're definitely excited for any opponent, that we face. It's always nice to face a different league, a different opponent in a different league, just to kind of change things up. But I think we'll be ready for it.
And I just want to ask about the sort of mentality of gearing up for your first, competitive fixture of the season being a 2-legged knockout, and then you go back into the, the long haul of regular season MLS. Does that create any further challenges mentally, just in terms of preparation, preparing, for knockout football versus like a standard regular season match?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. It's something I think a lot of guys are used to at this point, being a part of CONCACAF at the start of the season. It's just that type of mind frame that you have to put yourself in from the start of preseason, is that once we get started, there's going to be a lot of games. So it's up to us to really, stay focused and, stay, physically fit, get our treatments, our rehab in, when we need it, because a lot of minutes are going to, be, happening in the next, few weeks.
Yeah, we're talking about the schedule compounding this year. It's obviously going to be crazy with the World Cup and all, and then the MLS schedule changes next season. So it's going to be a lot on your guys' plate from a game time point of view. But I think you guys are up to the task. We just want to start our conversation kind of around the end of the 2025 season with Cincinnati and into obviously the start of this campaign. So last time you were on the pitch, you faced a very, very strong and ultimately champion Inter Miami team, a Miami team that was in the league now for a few years. What made that Miami team that you faced, a team that you'd faced for a number of years before, different than previous Miami teams?
Uh, I mean, it's tough to say. I think when you look at it, there's obviously talent across the board. I mean, the fact that this Miami team that we just faced didn't win the Supporter Shield was something, to take to account. But obviously, they got great players. It wasn't our night that night, unfortunately, but I think that's one that, a lot of guys wish they could have back. But I think at the end of the day, it's just motivating us for, this season ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it over to Joe for the next question.
Yeah, I mean, since you've joined the club, third place, now second place, you're obviously preparing for the season ahead. I was just wondering, what do you think needs to be done to make sure you're top of those standings in the season upcoming?
I mean, for me personally, I can't speak too much, on our team and all that, but I think for me personally, it's continuing to hold, myself and my teammates accountable, for the standard that we train with and, for a standard that we have in games. I think, this week ahead is pretty much our first week of the regular season or of the season. So it's just about to recognize that, preseason's over. It's, time for real matches that mean a lot. So it's that type of work ethic that we have to have, that type of focus that we have to have every day that will make us improve.
Yeah, the club made two big, attacking acquisitions last year in Denke and Evander. The Evander trade, obviously cash trades have only just really come in, shocked everyone. As a player being at a club and seeing a big move within the league happen like that, were you surprised when Portland decided to let him go?
I mean, I was happy. I mean, I was happy. I think a lot of other guys were surprised. I know, and a lot of people that were, disappointed that Portland let him go because they recognized how great of a player he was. And I think he was one of those players that like almost fell under the radar for how elite he was. But props to us. Like he's our teammate now. What a great guy. Like what a great, individual player, but also, just a great person. And I think he's gonna have another great year ahead, but it's just about a collective, team to continue to win games and then everyone's gonna look great.
Yeah, you guys have Atlanta coming up to start the season in the MLS campaign. Do you get any extra juice still facing against Atlanta in the regular season, or is that kind of flown at this point?
No, the juice is always there. I think everyone would recognize that, but that's everyone for any team that they've played on. It's anything to get that extra motivation, any type of thought process that you can have as a player. I'm just one of those guys that would love any type of motivation to really get going. And yeah, there's definitely a little juice still.
What do you still follow the team? I mean, obviously players have come and gone. There's some players have been there for a while. And Brooks has been there for a while, but you still in touch with any of the people there, coaches there and whatnot.
Nah, no, not in touch. I mean, obviously the coaching staff was the same one that like drafted me. But
yeah.
In terms of the players, I don't speak to anyone now.
Yeah. Joe, I'll let you crack on.
Yeah, I mean, we really do wish you a great season with Cincinnati, but there is another tournament that is upcoming that I think some people might be aware of, and that'll be the World Cup. Unfortunately, an injury, kind of ruin your chances in 2022. But just what would it mean for you to be named in that United States roster?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it means, everything. I think as, any player would love to be a part of the World Cup, but for me personally, it's just one of those things. It's like I can't think about it too much. Like, let's be real. I just got to continue to get better tomorrow, the next day, stay healthy, keep working, and the rest will fall into place. But obviously, yeah, it'd be a dream.
What do you feel about your chances? Sorry, like I know you say you don't want to speak too much on it, but like, Do you feel like you're in a good position right now to be in selection, or is it something you don't want to attempt?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I'm focused on the next day, like, because obviously last cycle I got hurt maybe when I was thinking too forward onto the future. So I don't want to jinx myself or anything like that.
Your coach of the U.S. men's national team, Mauricio Pochettino, after the Gold Cup last summer, kind of moved into a back three, back five hybrid look for most of the most fixtures you guys had in the fall. Obviously, you were part of some of those teams. At Cincinnati this year, last season, you guys played a lot in a back five. You mostly playing centrally in that position. What was your reaction when you kind of found out and heard and noticed that this was the direction that the U.S. men's national team was going from a formation point of view? Because it looks like that's how you guys are going to line up next summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Poch does a really good job of like kind of implementing kind of like formations, but allowing it to be very fluid. And he's, coached us very well with that. And it's that type of like fluidity that allows us to, be, you know, it allows us to attack in certain aspects of the game or in certain ways. But yeah, for me, I'm just, I was grateful to just be on the field and to compete and to show what I had in those positions, whether it be kind of a center back or a right back or a back in the three, right back in three or anywhere. I'm just grateful to be on the field and I'm just really trying to, show out and prove what I have to offer.
I was going to ask if you have a preferred position in that back line. It seems like you're comfortable
Yeah,
playing
exactly.
this side.
Anywhere, yeah, get me on the field. I'll give everything I have.
And so we want to learn a lot more about Pochettino. He seems like such a nice guy, and to everyone. I know him well from back in the Premier League, of course, and he was known for having like a really close relationship with the players, especially at Tottenham. Obviously, as an international manager, that role was a little bit different. But I just wondered, like, does he keep in contact with you guys like through the season? Like, what's he like?
I mean, no, I think he has a good supporting staff that, can come to games here and there, contact us when they're in town or things like that. But I mean, overall, he's a great guy. I think he's a great motivator. I think he instills confidence in players, which is like super important because I think a lot of it comes down to that like kind of mentality of like confident. And when guys are confident, you can really tell versus when they're not. But yeah, overall, he's obviously a great manager that's been successful, his whole career. So it's definitely an honor to be able to, work under him.
The view in the training camp, obviously, these are players. This team has kind of now been kind of a similar group of players for the last 5 or 6 years, I would say. Obviously, I would say the first kind of like aha moment was that 2021 summer. Obviously, you had the very big goal in the Gold Cup that year, and obviously, you guys, I forgot the name of the tournament, the CONCACAF tournament that you guys won. Kind of was like this is now this group of players we have for this cycle building up to this point. The close-knit nature now of the team is now 5-6 years he's probably played with these guys or been in more camps with these guys than some of your club teammates at this point. And these are the players you're going to be competing with, for spots in the field, for playing time. Do you view this competition against maybe some of your closer friends in the sport as a privilege? Is it nerve-wracking? Just kind of on an interpersonal level with these guys you've been playing against for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things. It's like a lot of the guys, including myself, are just happy to see each other when we see each other again, and then the type of competition just comes instinctually, like when we're on the field. We're all competitors. That's why we're at this level. So I think obviously we're friends off the field, but on the field, like we're all competitors. So we want to win, whether it's a drill or a scrimmage or any type of game, obviously that we're a part of. Um, but I think that's the type of like kind of energy that we all have is like we're all homies, we're all boys, like off the field, even on the field. But like once we are really competing or trying to win something or trying to get better at something, we're trying to like prove, ourselves and the people around us who we are as players.
Yeah.
Do you feel, I mean, the World Cup being hosted here, does that add to the pressure or is that actually a benefit to you guys, playing in front of, your crowd for the first time since 1994?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it's a big benefit. Just with whether just playing in your home country, understanding the venues, understanding, the people, the environment, the hotels, all of that. I think that's a big benefit in general. And I think it could add to the pressure, but I think in general, we're a group that could play better with the pressure, or like with, a big game. I think we got big game players.
Yeah, some of those players are obviously in really, really strong form, especially the attacking line in Europe, in Italy specifically. You got Wes and Christian obviously completely tearing it up right now. Wes is looking like a forward these days. But are you able to, how much are you able to keep tabs just on the state of the squad during the season? Is that something that you're checking a little more keenly, this time of year than you might have been in years past?
I mean, I definitely like check it. Like I know like who's like scoring just because they're like reposting and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not over like indulging myself in everything, to be honest. But it's just one of those things. Like I love to see any of the guys on the national team, any American, ball out in any league that they're in. It just kind of gives me, joy, and I think it gives a lot of young players like energy and a lot of joy itself. So just that continuing to grow the sport is what they're doing by performing well.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are like really, really kicking, especially, obviously center back is the hardest position I would say to evaluate in terms of like who's having a good season, who's not, unless you're really digging deep into the film versus like for most fans, it's able to say like, oh, this winger is having a good season. Look at all the like goals and compilations that you're seeing online of like, oh, this player has to be in the team. Like, look what he just did in the Champions League, blah, 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 versus center back, unless it's a goal line clearance or something, you're not often seeing it in the highlight tape. So I think it's a little harder for fans to put in perspective of like, it's pretty hard for anyone to evaluate center backs, let alone, a casual fan. Yeah, I think we have some last big questions about the MLS. Before I wanted to say, I know you're a math guy. I went to school in Boston. I also did a semester at CUSE, so go on.
Yeah.
I wanted, before we ask about the MLS, I wanted to say, obviously, CUSE soccer, pretty big program, these days.
They won the treble like 2 years ago.
I can't believe it. What do you think of the, you kind of just precluded the NIL era in college sports, and people talk about it much more in the stature of football and basketball and the sports where you get, the most eyeballs collegiately. But what do you think its impact is going to be long term on collegiate soccer in the United States?
NIL?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to say, honestly, because then it might become like political with like how much money players are getting in the academies versus, or if they're even getting paid in the academies. But I'm all for it, like players getting paid what they're owed and what they deserve. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and do you think it will impact potentially pathways to the MLS for, teenagers going forward? Like if there's more incentive to stay in school longer potentially, as opposed to jumping into like a professional deal immediately or the super draft like you did.
Yeah, potentially. Like I think if you're a young player and you have the opportunity to not only get paid but get an education, instead, what you'd rather go to an academy and play on a second team and get paid less? I don't know. Like that's an interesting thought process. But yeah, I think everyone has their own kind of pathway, and it's kind of just up to the individual. A lot of it kind of is the timing and the luck to really get that breakthrough. It kind of depends, but yeah, the future of sports in general is very interesting. And I think we're in like some type of transformation era of like sports and how it's viewed and all that as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, right now, obviously, there's some players in the NBA who are going from the NBA back to college sports with like the eligibility remaining, which is really a freaky one. Did you have
That's
any
interesting.
eligibility left when you came out, or?
I mean, I was like a Generation Adidas, so I played 2 seasons. Like I was at
Yeah,
Syracuse for 3 semesters, and then I got drafted Generation Adidas to Atlanta. So
you
I
can go
don't
back
think
to
so.
school.
Yeah, I already
Yeah,
got the
yeah, two
degree. I
years.
got
Yeah,
the degree. I got the degree, so I'm good.
yeah.
And just also one more from me. Like you've a lot of your international teammates have gone abroad and other things. You spent your whole career in the US. I was just wondering how much MLS has changed in your experience since you first made your debut back in 2018, I believe it was.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is my 10th season in the MLS, and I think it's been alive or in existence for 30 years. So that's like a third of its existence. But like in terms of the quality of teams, like I think there's so many more or so much more like high quality teams now than before. I think uh just the average player is so much better than it
Yeah,
was. Um, but I think like obviously like the pay and the facilities and the stadiums, like it's definitely grown like insane already in like my 10-year time. But like the veterans that I played with when I was like a rookie, like from then until now, like that's just night and day. Like that's like completely different. Like you got minimum or like you got your, rookie contract of $12,000 a year. Like that's what those players were making. They're training in baseball fields, like stuff like that. But
yeah.
it's definitely growing. So it's really cool to see. And I'm definitely happy to be a part of it and to see the growth for sure.
Is it weird for you to think of yourself now as a veteran?
Yeah, it definitely is weird. It hits different for sure. I
Yeah,
still feel like I'm like that young player, but I guess not. I guess they look at me differently. But I'm here
yeah,
for it for sure.
yeah. You're mid career now. You've been around. You've been through some things, and
Exactly.
we're really excited for you guys this season. Obviously, we think the race in the East, is going to be really, really tight at the top. We think you guys are going to be right there, and then you're going to hopefully hit, fingers crossed, hit pause right on that, late May, and then transition to international mode. Hopefully, have a great summer and come back right to it, and kicking on three fronts, possibly domestically and then internationally at the World Cup. It's going to be a crazy year, unprecedented year in American soccer for so many reasons. Really happy to have Miles having joined us. Great guest, and wish him all the best. Go Orange, and have fun in the DR.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.